to another edition of the Trainer Tips Sunday Q&A. We have some pretty exciting evolutions today. I have Bellsprout, Clefairy, Ghastly, Machop. Those are all things that I'm really looking forward to. Pikachu also, because, I don't have a good Raichu yet. So let's just jump right into it. I'm going to start with the lesser exciting things. Less exciting things? Anyway. Paris. I powered up my only Parasect with Bug Bite and X-Scissor, so I'd like to get another one around the same starting CP, like high 900s, so I can use that for training. So hopefully this comes out with Bug Bite, X-Scissor. Nice, we're off to a great start. 967. Now the first thing I want to address, I don't have a specific question for, but it's something that came up. I forgot my egg. Okay, egg's on. But the first thing that I want to address is something that came up after the episode 2 days ago, Bulbasaur date, when I said that the best Pokemon to walk with are the rarer ones because you're going to save more distance per candy on 5-kilometer Pokemon, but you're going to save the same distance overall. So let me explain that a little bit better because a lot of people were confused after that video. Let's say you have 2 Pokemon that you need to earn candies for. One is a Dratini that you need to walk 5 kilometers per candy with, and one is a Charmander that you need to walk 3 kilometers per candy with. During the event, the Dratini is going to take 1.25 kilometers per candy, and the Charmander is going to take 0.75 kilometers per candy. A lot of people are saying that you should walk with the Dratini because it has a bigger reduction in the actual distance you have to walk per candy. And that's true, but the thing that a lot of people fail to consider is that you're going to walk the same distance during this event regardless of which Pokemon you choose. So let's say you choose Charmander during the event and you walk 93.75 kilometers. That's the full distance that you need to get all 125 Charmander candies. 93.75 at 0.75 each works out to 125 candies. Then when the event ends, you're going to have to walk with that Dratini at full distance. 125 candies at 5 kilometers each works out to 625 kilometers that you're going to need to walk after the event ends. So that's a total of 625 plus 93.75 to get all the candies that you need for both Charmander and Dratini. Now, if you choose Dratini during the event because it has a bigger reduction in the distance you need to walk, you're still going to walk the same distance. So if you walk 93.75 kilometers with Dratini during the event, that's enough to earn 75 candies. Then when the event ends, you still need to walk for 50 more candies at maximum distance. 50 candies at 5 kilometers each with Dratini is 250 kilometers. Plus, you still have to walk with Charmander 125 candies at 3 kilometers each, which is 375 kilometers. So you add those together, and you come out with 625 kilometers that you need to walk after the event ends. Same total, 625 after the event, 93.75 during the event. So that's what I mean when I say it doesn't matter who you choose. If you need to get the same amount of candies, in the end you're going to have to walk the same distance regardless of who you choose during the event. So the reason I suggest choosing the rarest Pokemon is because you don't see those in the wild. I could walk with my Dratini now, but chances are between now and the time I get 125 candies, I'll encounter a few more in the wild, which is going to reduce the number of candies that I actually need to walk for. Walking with Grimer, I'm not going to see him in the wild very often. I think I've only seen 2 now. So choosing Grimer during the event means I'm going to get the muck candies I need faster than if I walked with him after the event. Whereas Dratini, I can still catch that in the wild and get candies that way. I know the event's almost over now, but hopefully that helps you guys understand what I meant by choose the rarest Pokemon and not the ones with the highest distance. The next evolution I'm going to do is Staryu, and remember, Starmie and Golduck are tied for the highest attack stat among Pokemon that can learn Water Gun and Hydro Pump. I actually already have a Water Gun Hydro Pump Starmie, so this is kind of just a bonus evolution. I don't know, it's for the experience. Might end up with a usable moveset, so let's see. Water Gun, Power Gem. Well, they're both super effective against Charizard, but Hydro Pump is still better because it gets Stab and has higher DPS. Power Gem is double effective against Charizard, but that works out to the same as 1 super effective bonus and Stab, so Do you think Niantic will ever incorporate a quest system? Well, actually, after the latest update, a data mine discovered that there is code for daily quests implemented in the game. So we don't know much about it yet, but we do know that there are lines of code that reference daily quest first catch of the day and daily quest first Pokestop of the day. So in the near future, you could get a bonus for going out and catching your first Pokemon of the day and spinning your first Pokestop of the day. Now keep in mind, we discovered code for trading in the game a long time ago, and that's still not out, but it's unlikely that daily quests are going to take as long as trading, because trading, there's a lot that comes with it that they need to balance and figure out to make it work right. So daily quests could be coming to Pokemon Go relatively soon. Again, we don't know exactly when, but the code is in the game. We're going to do Nidoran next. I do have a fully powered up Nidoqueen already, but again, like I said, all the things that I've powered up, I do want to have those at a lower CP also to use them in training. It seems like right around 1,000 to 1,200 CP is a good sweet spot for training Pokemon, because typically what you're seeing in a gym is around 2,200 to 2,600 CP. So again, between 1,000 and 1,200, maybe all the way up to 1,300, is a good sweet spot for training Pokemon. 1670. Oh yeah, this was higher level. This was not hatched from an egg, so 1670, that's actually pretty high. But Bite Sludge Wave. Bite is cool, but I would have rather had Poison Jab Sludge Wave. Again, 2 poison type moves, even though poison is not the best offensive type, it's only super effective against grass and fairy, so it's there. Why do you think spawns are lighter in rural areas? There's no competition for spawns, so why do cities need more? You're right, there's no competition for spawns. When a Pokemon spawns, every player can go catch that Pokemon. So the reason that there are less in rural areas is because of the way Niantic designed spawn points. They're based on areas of high cellular activity. I guess that's something that they're really proud of. They used it in Ingress too. There was a resource called XM, and that worked the same way that spawn points work, where there was more XM in areas of higher cellular activity. So I think that's something that they're really proud of. That's an algorithm that they designed to use player information or human activity information to create something in the game. And I don't think that's something that's going to change anytime soon. I think it was kind of a poor decision overall, because they could just place spawn points sort of equally distributed throughout the world, so that, again, rural players would have equal access to spawn points. I don't know how taxing that would be on the servers to just spam spawn points all across the globe. But again, spawn points are decided based on cellular activity. It's an algorithm that Niantic designed, and I think it's something that they're really proud of and happy with, so I don't think that's going to change anytime in the future. Obviously, they have the ability to manipulate the algorithm and change the number of spawn points or the frequency of spawn points, but again, that's just going to place even more in these cities and high activity areas and just add a couple at a time to more rural areas. It could have been done differently, but I think they're really proud of the way that they've done it, even though it leads to a little bit of imbalance between cities and rural players. I'm going to do this Machop next. Again, my Machamp is fully powered up. It has over 2,000 CP now, so I'd like to get another one. I think fully evolved, this will probably come out around 1,200, maybe 1,400 at the most. $14.43 with Karate Chop and Cross Chop. That's exactly what I wanted. Do you think Niantic will add Gen 2 even though it will complicate the game with things like babies, evolution stones, branches, friendship? The answer is yes, absolutely. I think they will still add Generation 2. For those who aren't familiar, all these things are sort of evolution mechanics. There are Pokemon who evolve when exposed to certain stones. There are Pokemon who evolve when they're traded holding specific items. There are Pokemon who evolve when your friendship level with them is high enough. And those things would complicate the game, but they're just going to simplify it. It's all going to be candy. There are complicated evolution mechanics in first generation. Not every Pokemon evolves just by leveling up. We had evolution stones in first generation. We had branched evolutions in first generation, with Eevee having 3 different possible outcomes. We even had Pokemon who evolve when they're traded. Haunter, Machoke, Kadabra, and Graveler all had to be traded to evolve in the original games, and every Pokemon that had either a stone evolution, a trade evolution, a branched evolution, everything is all just candies in Pokemon Go, and I guarantee it'll be the same way for second generation. The one thing that they could implement is friendship based on the buddy system, but honestly I don't think that's very likely. Obviously they like to simplify things for Pokemon Go, so I really think everything is just going to be based on candy. In branched evolutions, again, not going to be a problem. We already have Eevee that has 3 different outcomes, and we've seen that that's pretty much just chosen randomly. There is a trick to decide one time, but branched evolutions that come up in second generation, they're probably just going to be random as well. Early on, Niantic and Nintendo both said that there are plans to add all Pokemon to Pokemon Go eventually. So I really think that's something that is going to happen, and I think it's something that needs to happen if they want the game to continue on for many years into the future. Obviously, this current Halloween event is keeping people interested, but I'm pretty sure once it ends, things are going to die down again. So really, adding more Pokemon is the one thing that's going to bring back the hype, like I've said before. So yes, Generation 2 should still be coming. I think it would be a terrible move to not include it just because it might complicate things. A lot of people have other concerns, like it's going to make certain first generation Pokemon harder to get because you're going to see less of them in the wild relative to the new Generation 2 Pokemon. And that's true, but honestly, I don't see a problem with that. If it takes longer to complete the Pokédex, I'm all for it. These next 4 I'm all actually really excited about because I do want to get better movesets for all of these Pokemon. I'm going to start with Ghastly just because it's, the most common right now. And believe it or not, I only have 126 Ghastly candies. It's the event Pokemon that I've really seen the least of during the event. But here we go. I should mention that I'm hoping for a double Ghost type moveset on Gengar that's going to be Shadow Claw and Shadow Ball, because all of mine so far have at least one Dark type move. Oh well, there's plenty of Ghastlys out. We'll have to go to Long Beach today. Cassie's head just perked up when I said that. So we'll probably go to Long Beach today because there are tons of Ghastlys out there. Does the multiplier still apply if you power up a Pokemon before evolving? A lot of people do their evolutions based on so-called CP multipliers, which essentially tells you how much the CP is going to increase between the unevolved and the evolved Pokemon. So the biggest one that people usually cite is Magikarp, which supposedly has a times 10 CP multiplier when evolving to Gyarados, meaning if you had a 100 CP Magikarp, it would get multiplied by 10 and you would have a 1000 CP Gyarados. Well, here's the deal. Multipliers are sort of a myth. That's not how it works at all. The game doesn't take the Magikarp's CP and multiply it to get the Gyarados' CP. CP is based on 3 things: Pokemon's base stats, a Pokemon's IVs, and a Pokemon's level. The only thing that ever changes among those for the same Pokemon is level. The IVs are set for that specific Pokemon, the base stats are set for that species of Pokemon, and the only thing that changes is the Pokemon's level. CP is determined by a formula that takes all 3 of those things into account. And when you power up a Pokemon, you're increasing its level. So as the level increases, the CP also increases. So if you know the exact IVs of a Pokemon, you can actually calculate what its CP will be after evolving by plugging it into the formula, but it's a really complicated formula, so I don't suggest trying it. Powering up a Pokemon before evolving it will increase the CP of the evolved Pokemon, but it's not because of the multiplier, it's because it increases the level of the Pokemon. Hopefully that clears things up for you guys. I just felt like there was a lot of misinformation about how CP multiplier works with evolutions, so CP multipliers don't actually exist. It's sort of just an estimate based on the possible range of outcomes with different IVs. I'm going to evolve Pikachu next. Again, I'm looking for Raichu with 2 electric type moves, preferably Spark and Thunder. I would also take Thundershock Thunder or Spark Thunderbolt, or even Thundershock Thunderbolt. Anything but Brick Break. That's a nice Raichu. Yes! Spark Thunder is exactly what I wanted. This is actually going really well today. Quick question here. A lot of people are noticing that a Pokemon running away from you gives you 25 experience, and they're wondering if this is something new that was added with the most recent update or with the metal catching update. And actually, it's something that was there from the very beginning. Pokemon running away from you have always granted 25 experience. I'm not sure why people are noticing it more now, but it's always been there. A Pokemon running away still gives you 25 experience. On to the next one, it's going to be Clefairy. This one is much higher level than any Clefairy I've evolved before, but its IVs are 77.8%. Again, I'm making an exception because it's starting out at a higher level, which means it's going to take less Stardust for me to power it up if it ends up with a good moveset. And what I'm looking for is Pound and Moonblast. Dang it. Zen Headbutt Psychic, that's the same moveset as the last Clefable that I evolved, which is kind of unfortunate because there are much better Psychic type attackers out there. Neither of these moves benefit from Stab, so... A lot of people have been asking about the secret package that I kept referring to a couple weeks ago that sort of just mysteriously disappeared from the channel, and the truth is, the secret package was a drone. It was the first drone that Cassie's friend bought for us to use on the channel, and I was kind of hyping it up for this big reveal, and on the day that I was planning on revealing it, we ended up crashing it. So we kind of had to put that on hold for a second until I bought this drone, which by the way is a Phantom 4, for those who've been asking. That was the secret package. I'm sorry that I couldn't reveal it like I wanted to, but sometimes things don't work out. But I do have the drone now, and it's been a lot of fun to shoot with. I hope you guys are all enjoying that drone footage, but I have one more evolution to do. This is the one that I'm most excited about because you guys know I really want a Razor Leaf Solar Beam Victreebel. It's the strongest grass type attacker, and I'd really like to get that double grass type moveset. This new update with these balls of light is terrible. It's terrible. Yes, that's it. Razor Leaf, Solar Beam. This is definitely getting powered up, so let's see. The Victreebel, the Machop, the Parasect, and the Raichu all came out with the movesets that I was looking for. So 4 out of 8. That's probably my best run of evolutions yet. One last question. Since Halloween is tomorrow, what was my favorite costume as a child? There it is. When I was in 5th grade, my mom made me this giant Pokemon card. So I was a Pokemon card for Halloween. Instead of going the standard route and dressing up as Ash Ketchum like most of the other kids did, I decided I wanted to be a card. So there it is. That's going to be it for this Q&A. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I really hope you learned something from it, and leave questions for next week in the comments. But to be honest, it might be better to ask me on Twitter because there are thousands of comments on each of these videos, and a lot of times I don't have the time to go through and look for questions because it just takes so long to get through all of these comments. So I usually put out a call for questions before I shoot the Q&A on Twitter, so that's really the best time to ask me, because that way I have all the questions coming in all at once and I don't have to scroll through thousands of comments or thousands of tweets to find the questions to answer. So again, if you want to ask me on Twitter, wait till I put out that call, and that's usually the best time to ask questions. But that's going to be it for this episode. I'll see you guys tomorrow.